continue with our guest co-host today, who is a respected film critic and Golden Globes voter, based very conveniently for us right here in the UAE. William Mullally is the arts and culture editor at The National. He's joined us again on the show. William, as always, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Good to see you as well.
Busy season, awards season amongst us.
There's a lot going on.
Ain't there just? Yeah. Okay, should we talk about the School of... No, it's not the School of 2026, is it? They get honoured in 2026, but it's the School of 2025. If you were to do compare and contrast the big nominations for the big awards this season, are we into a classic school of films? What's your sort of take on the nominees?
Honestly, I do think this is one of the strongest years that I've seen for film in recent memory. And not just for, you know, the sorts of types of films that tend to be, you know, awards bait, as they call it. You know, like these big performances where we have some famous actor who's put on a fake nose for some reason, is going out there and doing their all. It feels like we're getting a breadth of stories from across the world that are being recognized in a way that we haven't seen before. I think we saw a little of that breakthrough with Parasite back in 2019, which, you know, famously won Best Picture, but now we have films from, you know, Norway, we have films from, you know, Brazil, we have films from Palestine, all these different films from across the world that are really getting their due, which is really amazing to see.
One thing I've noticed, and certainly when I watched the Golden Globes recently, and you know, I don't need to tell you this, but back in the day, all of the sort of the voting panels were like, no, it's only film and it's only this, and they were so strict in the way that they judge films and who could enter, etc. Best podcast at the Golden Globe this year for the very first time in it. If you need a sign of the time, surely it's that, isn't it?
I mean, they did give it to Amy Poehler.
True.
So they're still going for the people that they love.
Snoop Dogg was introducing it.
Snoop Dogg was introducing it. So baby steps.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Well, William, this is an exciting moment for Arab cinema because we have 4 Arab films that are getting into the international competition, right? Is that correct?
In the shortlist.
In the shortlist, yeah.
So basically, there's every country submits what they want to be their submission, then those are gone through, that's whittled down to a shortlist, and then the nominees. But really, I think it shows this year, it was, I mean, even, you know, speaking as a voter, just picking of the amazing films from across the world, there's so many that are, you know, fantastic films from everywhere, from Germany, from South Korea, that are just getting zero attention, because I think it's one of the strongest years I've seen for international film in the history of film, I think.
From your point of view as a voter and someone who kind of has been watching and looking out for these films, who do you think will be in the final stages of selection?
I think there are, you know, of the films from the region that were shortlisted, there's some really fantastic ones, but, you know, as good as All That's Left of You or Palestine 36 are, really this year it's become The Voice of Hind Rajab has been the key film from the region that I think people have rallied behind. From the North African filmmaker Kauthar Ben Hania, who's tremendous and filmed this movie in a very short field of time. It's basically a docudrama because it utilizes actual footage of these, you know, workers who are working to save this young girl's life, and it's incredibly powerful. And I think, honestly, emotion is what guides us, and it's one of the most emotional films I've literally ever seen.
That's very true, yes.
So Tom mentioned earlier, I want to delve more into how does the process and the voting process actually happen? Because you'll get some films that are critically acclaimed and the critics love them, but they won't get nominated. How does it work then?
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of it is, there are people out there campaigning a lot, and they're very vocal. And so a lot of it is about just who seems to be able to make the most noise, because there are a lot of it, you know, if you look at 2 performances, for example, there's a film that no one has talked about this year, from Claire Foy, who we know from The Queen, who has a new film called H is for Hawk, based on this amazing memoir, and it was incredibly powerful. I haven't heard a single person even mention that film. So a lot of it is just, you know, it's, you know, where things are moving. It's a lot of times narrative, you know, whether it's someone's time or not, and how much they're able to get. So it's hard, because when there are so many different films that are all equally, you know, excellent, it ends up being a lot will fall through the cracks, which honestly broke my heart to have to choose between them. Because basically I would get my ballot, and in the first round of things, you can do 6 and you rank them. Okay. And even then, let's say there's 10 films that I thought were fantastic, I felt like I was, you know, leaving my children behind. It broke my heart to do it.
I mean, you've always been global in my mind, William, if I may say so. But you've truly gone global now as a voter for the Golden Globes. So you're on the panel, but you're also on that side of the fence as well, in terms of the way that you perceive film? Has it changed the way that you watch a film, being a voter?
Honestly, I don't want, even being a film critic, I don't think has changed the way I watch a film. When I'm there, I'm not sitting there. You know, I think a lot of people, when they're starting off on film criticism, maybe they'll sit there and be like, okay, well, how was the cinematography, for example? If anyone uses that word in a review, I'm like, okay, you're at that early stage. Because
The lighting
for me,
is divine.
the lighting, the lighting. Honestly, for me, it's does this work for me here? And I'm just, really my skill is I've gotten good at figuring out why it made me feel that way, and how, and what elements are what's playing at me. So I think it's really about being in touch with myself.
Yeah.
And from there, a lot of times, yeah, like as I was saying, it is guided by emotion. What stayed with me? What's remained here maybe even 6 months later? And so I think a lot of times, maybe my opinion might change in a year because maybe I'm just still, you know, feeling that amazing high of seeing this fantastic film in a cinema 2 weeks ago, whereas that film that I saw 8 months ago, maybe it was even better, but it's just not there. So I'm always going to be a flawed human. I have to accept that. I can never do this perfectly, but I can only, you know, try to bring my best self to it.
There's also a misconception that the last stages of 2025, for example, the films that are coming out will be the best films of the year because the Oscars and the Golden Globes are coming out. But looking at the festivals itself, a lot of newcomers that come in are most likely from festivals and never been seen on the big stage in the cinemas globally. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So for this, another insider thing, some of these films would be sent to my house in, you know, DVDs. A man would show up. It was weird. It would always happen late at night. Like I would show up 11:30 p.m. and just be like, have a little, you know, thing on it that has an N on it. I'm like, okay, Netflix is sending me something.
Wow.
But then we also had a portal where I can access all these films, most of which have not been released yet, have not been gone to the world. So they want us to see it first. I think a lot of times they are holding those films and they're giving them to us early, so maybe it will give them a little bit of a boost. So yeah, a lot of it is strategic. They're trying to, you know, they know recency bias is real, so they know if a film was 8 months old that I might not remember it as well. So they're trying to understand the flaws of my own humanity in doing that.
Well, final, like we're about to head in break. Just a quick one. Who is the one film that you are rooting for this year?
Other than
say he's a voter, he's not allowed to say. It's sworn secrecy.
I mean, I would say other than the, you know, the regional films, which are fantastic, and the international films, I've always had a soft spot for Paul Thomas Anderson. So one battle after another, I really do hope gets some glory.